Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2007 French extremity film Inside, and this is actually the first time I've seen this film. It's one I've been meaning to get to for many years, actually ever since the French extremity was a thing. Obviously, I watched it on Shudder at this point because Shudder is focusing in March of 2022 for anyone who watches this way in the future. They're focusing for the month of March on the French extremity films, so there are a lot of them on there. Now, based off other ones I've seen, this one is very low on my list. I was expecting to like it a lot more. I had heard a decent amount about it. I guess to some degree it was kind of built up in my mind as being really good because it was considered as part of that initial movement back during 2007. So I expected a lot more. And one of my biggest things, and I'm going to be interested to see what other people say about this in the comments, because I'm always interested in differing opinions, because there may be some things I missed or some things I didn't really consider that might change my opinion a little bit. But the script is probably the biggest problem I have. I feel like the script is not really well written. It's very bare bones. But I'll talk about this a little bit more as I go through the review, because obviously plenty of spoilers coming. It's written and directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julien Maury, who went on to have pretty good careers, and they're still going. They did Livid, which is also on Shudder at the moment, and I do plan to watch and review. Among the Living, they had a segment on the ABCs of Death Part 2. Candicia, which was a Shudder exclusive film, and I did review it, so I have a no spoiler review for Candicia up on my channel. And The Deep House, which at the moment when I'm doing this recording is on Hulu, and I do plan at some point to watch that. It looked very interesting to me, like literally like a haunted house underwater. Great concept. Bustillo and Maury actually met through a mutual friend, interestingly enough, and they really hit it off because they were huge into film, wanted to make film, and it went from there. And they're still doing it all these years later, which is great. The film lost about $1.5 million. So I'm going to say I'm not surprised because I don't think it's that great of a film. And a lot of it points to, well, not a lot of it, but one of the things that points to it not being a great film is the CGI baby. All those inside shots of inside Sarah's womb, of the CGI baby, terrible. Even back then, not a great idea. Like, you don't need to see the baby. People know that there's a baby in there, unless you have some sort of twist where there isn't actually a baby in there. But people know there's a baby in there. You don't need to see what's going on with the baby because it's not interesting at all. It looks hokey. It looks stupid. And the other thing is, CGI doesn't age well. And this CGI looks awful, in my opinion. But, you know, in all fairness to them, when they made the film, whenever you're making the film, the CGI looks great. You know, it's just over time, it starts to look horrible. And that's one of the reasons you should go with practical when you can. And they did go with plenty of practical effects in this, and they were good practical effects. I mean, good kills, good gore, but that CGI baby. And the fact they kept going back to that CGI baby, I could see it. I would have forgotten about it if it was just that opening sequence where they show the car crash and they show the impact to the baby inside the womb. Okay, fine. But the fact that they just keep coming back to it, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. I really want to know if anyone actually likes that about the film. Tell me why. Because it really irked me. I hated it, as you can probably tell. The undulating viscera during the opening credits actually looks really cool, but it also reminds me of the shunting in the film Society, which I love Society, and the shunting, obviously one of the best scenes in Society. Very long scene, too. That's a film I keep needing to get to review, and I will at some point. It's literally sitting over here in this stack. It's like, I think it's the one like at the very bottom, too. I got to do it. The music is annoying and not that great. Overall, the score is extremely hit or miss. There are moments where I feel like the score is really doing a great job and actually adding to the atmosphere, adding to the tension. And it's usually when it's super minimalistic with just like a few kind of like beats of noise here and there. But some of the other musical choices, it's just like, oh, this sounds terrible. It's just, the composition was not great. So overall, some nice moments with the score, some terrible moments with the score, in my opinion. So it was very hit or miss. You can tell Sarah isn't excited about having her baby because she's still dealing with the trauma of losing the father of the baby. Now, you can easily see this with her kind of like spaced out look that she keeps having. Like, she's not getting excited about the baby that's coming when she's at like her prenatal I don't even know if that's the right terminology. I don't have kids, people. When she's at like her prenatal appointment before the next day when she's going to come in and they're going to induce her, she's just not seeming interested or excited or anything. But you can understand that because the severe trauma of what happened, I believe it was 3 months earlier, is something you can't get over. Or maybe you can, but it will take a lot of time. And obviously that's a theme that just keeps coming back of like the trauma, because now she's bringing this child into a non-family. Like, the point all along was a family, you know, wife, husband, baby, and then all of that changes because of a potential freak incident. I don't know. Like, we don't know everything. Although, I guess in the end, you were kind of led to believe that the car accident was actually Sarah's fault. But we don't know that for sure because we don't actually see the events of that crash. We just, you know, get the perspective of the lady, which is what I'm going to call her because she doesn't have a name in this, the intruder. I'm just going to call her the lady. The daydream that Sarah has of her man kissing her neck and touching her stomach serves to show even her good memories end up being tainted, as it's interrupted quickly with him smacking his head into the windshield with plenty of blood. I do think that was a nice moment because at first I was kind of like, okay, why are we like acting like he's here? And I see this as like a daydream of her, and then it just like gets interrupted abruptly with his head smacking the windshield because that's all she can think about. It just shows that those memories are so tainted at that moment, and she's so traumatized that even when she tries to think of the good times, relive the good memories, it just gets interrupted with the horrible memory of the last moments of this person's life. So I like that they did that. The minimal score used when the lady shows up initially to the house really does enhance the tension of that situation. That is one of the moments where it's really well done. If they would have kept with a score like that, I would have been down. I would have definitely been down. Seeing the woman in the background of one of her photos takes it to that next level of creepy. I did like that. I always like those types of twists in movies where someone's developing film and they see that there's like someone hiding in the background that they didn't see before. It's insanely creepy to realize that someone's been watching you and you didn't know it at the time, like way later. Yeah, it takes it to that next level, and that's another moment of the film I like. Great scene of the lady slowly moving backwards into the shadows as Sarah's sitting on the couch. Obviously, this is the first moment that she's actually gained entry into the house. We don't really know how, unless I missed that, but we don't really know how. But when she's kind of sitting on the couch just chilling, and it's a shot far enough back that you can see her standing there, and how she just so slowly moves backwards, and the darkness starts to envelop her, and she's wearing black in the first place, so she just ends up disappearing into it, and you're just like, A, it looked great. B, you're like, where is she gonna pop up now? Like, she literally disappeared, and it feels like she could materialize at any point anywhere in the house. Very well done. Sarah must be a heavy sleeper, because the lady makes a lot of noise messing around in her house, going through her things, rummaging through drawers. And then when she touches her and she's still sleeping, she only wakes up when she jams the scissors into the stomach. Now, I know people who are very strong sleepers, very heavy sleepers, but this takes the cake and is very unrealistic in my opinion. Like, when she was taking the scissors and like running them up the belly, you mean to tell me that she slept through that? Come on. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You have to be pretty stupid to bust your head open trying to kick open a door, which is exactly what the lady ends up doing. I found that moment just comical because she was throwing like such a temper tantrum, and I just felt like, why? Like, why are we having this temper tantrum in the film? Like, she can go after her and try and break down this door in a more I was going to say enjoyable, not enjoyable for the audience, but a more realistic manner. Like, the flailing and throwing her head back and stuff was just ridiculous. You could tell she was just trying to get the shot of her hitting her head on the wall, and then she busts it open. Like, it's ridiculous. It's one of those bad choice moments. As soon as Jean-Pierre shows up, he's going to end up being toast. As soon as the mother then shows up, after Jean-Pierre's already been there, nonchalantly having a conversation with who he believes is Sarah's mother at that point, that she's going to get it as well at that point, and obviously they end up doing that. Louise and Jean-Pierre seem way too unconcerned with this random woman in the house. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was Louise, the friend Louise. It wasn't Sarah's mother who showed up after Jean-Pierre. But yeah, they're not very concerned. Like, they're concerned about Sarah, but they're not concerned about this person. They have no idea who they are. They have no idea how they got into the house, and who is acting very strangely. And once again, this is a script issue. It's not written all that well. It's very unrealistic from these standpoints. The characters are unbelievably paper thin. Even Sarah, who's supposed to be the main character. A lot of things just happen just because. And I will get to one of the most just because moments in the film, which is at the end of it, pretty soon. And I'm sure some of you already know what I'm going to talk about. Because from what I understand, plenty of people talk about that moment. Thought it was funny when Sarah killed Louise accidentally. I did like that moment of her thinking she's going to defend herself with the chopstick, basically. Like the chopsticks women use for their hair. Or men even nowadays. People use for their hair. So I just thought that was kind of funny that A, that's her weapon, and B, that she then stabs her mother in the neck with it and kills her. Yeah. Unintended consequences. I like how Jean-Pierre did absolutely nothing to defend himself on the stairs as he's being assaulted by this woman. That happens with other characters in the film as well. They literally just wait to be killed. That's another issue with this film, a huge issue with this film, where these characters are literally just like setting themselves up to die. And there's one thing that it's fine if like they're making a poor decision or they just don't see what's going on and they make a mistake and they get into a bad situation, whatever. But the fact that someone is coming after you, someone is actually physically hurting you or trying to kill you, and you just sit there and wait for it, you can see it probably most clearly with Jean-Pierre. Like, he just like lays there and is just like, yes, and this is where you kill me. And so at those points, it looks more like a fake movie production than it does the story they're trying to tell you. And it kind of takes you out of it, or at least it really took me out of it in those moments. The odd camera tricks focused on the lady's face when she's lighting up a cigarette is an interesting way to kind of show her disturbed mental state. They did a lot of like quick cuts to make it look kind of like choppy, and they did some like light flares and a lot of interesting stuff. So the music used at that point with those camera tricks they were doing worked really well, because it just became this cool visual representation of her just like losing it, like flipping out. So I like those types of things. The high-pitched sound when Sarah is trying to bore holes into the bathroom the bathroom door is unbelievably unnecessary, extremely over the top. I understand using like a high-pitched noise, like as it like builds up and then it comes down. But just continually doing it every time you go back to that scene, it's A, annoying, it's B, damaging to people's hearing legitimately, especially if, like me, you were watching it on a laptop with earphones. I literally, during those parts, took the earphones out because that stuff really bothers me. It legitimately hurts my ears. Hate those things. The policeman's head getting blown in half is actually a really cool scene that at least I did not see coming. I'm not sure if other people saw it coming, but we do know that she gained access to a gun at that point, but you don't know how she's going to use it. So that quick shot of his head just getting like blown in half, basically, pretty cool. I mean, if you're really paying attention, if you kind of like freeze frame on it, it looks fake. Like, it doesn't look that great, but they had to be like a quick shot, so it has enough impact. So just don't focus on it too much, and it's cool. Why does the one police officer keep the perp tethered to him, especially if he's giving him a weapon? This makes no sense. Once again, one of those terrible writing things that makes absolutely no sense. The police officer gets out of the car. He brings this perp with him, who I think he thought was setting cars on fire, okay? Because there's this whole backdrop of social unrest in the suburbs. So he picks up this perp who was apparently doing something regarding that, or he thinks. He has him tethered to him, which is something I'm not familiar with. I don't know if this is a thing in France or not with police. I don't know. And then he takes him into the situation where he knows he's getting into a violent situation, gives the guy a weapon, and keeps him tethered to him. This makes absolutely no sense, because what are you doing? Do you trust him? Are you bringing him in there to like be your backup? In which case, untether him because he can be better untethered. Or are you just taking him with you because you're concerned he's going to get away? In which case, don't give him a weapon because you obviously don't trust him. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And there are a few of these make no sense choices in the film. What is the purpose of the scene of the lady on top of Sarah trying to kiss her? When she was laying in bed after a lot of this ordeal went on, all bloodied, she gets on top and she's trying to kiss her. What is the point of that scene other than them getting to the lip biting? Which isn't even a good scene. Like, it's just like... And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of the writing, the script writing, just seems like an out of convenience thing. They had ideas about what they wanted to do, but they didn't have good ways to get there. So they just kind of like inserted it. And this is one of those moments. Sarah turning the chopstick on her own baby is supposed to shock the audience, but it's actually just comical because of how they then end up showing the awful CGI baby on the other end of that chopstick. You don't need to show the baby inside the womb to get the point across that she's threatening the baby's life. We don't need the baby's reaction. The baby's not a character in this film. The baby should have been left out of this film for the most part. Like, everybody knows that when there's a belly like that, there's a baby in there. I don't understand these choices. I don't understand. The twist of the lady having been pregnant and Sarah hitting her in the car accident and her baby end up being miscarried. I mean, I see they were trying to make an impactful twist, but it's really not that impactful. It's just kind of okay. I mean, it does give you the motivation behind the character because she then, is wanting a baby in place of the one that she lost, and why not take it from the person who also just happened to be pregnant and hit you in this car accident, which is another like really odd thing where you're just like, oh, two pregnant women get into a car accident. What are the odds of that? You know what I mean? Like, this goes back to this weird writing. Let's get to the weirdest of things in this film. How does the one police officer become a zombie? The moment where it seems like Sarah has potentially won, to some degree, and she goes over and the police officer is like at the door or something, acting weird. He turns around and he's acting like he's zombified at that point, violently coming after her. I don't understand. What is happening? He was a good guy a little bit ago. He got messed up by the woman, the lady, and now he's a zombie? When did we introduce zombies into the story? At the very end, okay? For no reason. Like, can someone explain this to me? Am I missing something? Because it's very weird. And then on top of that, he then is attacked by the lady. Because I assume that's because she's trying to defend the unborn child because she's after the child. Now, the scene after that, I like quite a bit, where Sarah's on the steps and the lady has pulled out the scissors and she cuts her belly open and pulls the baby out, which is exactly what was going on in the opening credits. All that viscera getting moved around, because you can see like baby body parts, flashes of baby body parts here and there, and like the moving of all that viscera. And that's what's going on. It's her removing the baby from Sarah's stomach, so it's kind of like bringing things full circle with the film. So I like that. It looked good. All the blood going down the stairs looked great. Then also showing the aftermath of after the baby had been removed, like panning up and showing her laying there and just the terrible aftermath. Well done. I like that type of stuff. Nobody came out on top in this one. Kind of just showed that revenge is pretty pointless, especially because, yes, the lady did end up getting the baby, which was her goal from the get-go, plus getting revenge because she killed the other person. But she was horribly burned. And is she even going to live? Like, that's the question. So, was this worth it? No. Was revenge worth it? No. Just saying. I don't think that that's necessarily the point of the film, but it reminds you of that. There is some really nice camera work in this film. There really is. But overall, it's got kind of like this amateurish look. Now, I don't know if that's just because we're just so used to seeing things in HD now, and it just doesn't, it's not HD, and it actually kind of looks like a little bit fuzzy a lot of the times. Like grainy. Grainy is what I mean. Not fuzzy, grainy. But yeah, it just looks amateurish. It kind of looks like a shot for TV movie in many moments. Except for like the gore and everything. The script is pretty simplistic and not that great. Like I said before, tons of writing for convenience. They really should have fleshed something out. I mean, if you think about it, the story's just like... For me, there's nothing all that interesting with the story. It's just like a intruder film. You know, like a very basic type intruder film. So it's... At that point, if you accept that, what do you want out of it? No, you want good kills, you want fun kills. Which, you know, they delivered some decent kills, I would say. And, you know, good gore gags and all that, but solid death and gore, but that's basically it for me. Like I said, got a lot of problems with this one, but I will say that cinematography and directorially, you could see promise in this film, which is probably why Maury and Bustillo have gone on to do as much as they have. Because there was a lot of good promise shown in what they did there. So, yeah. But anyway, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm giving this a 2-star rating. Not huge on it. But like I said, I really want to hear other people's opinions on this, especially if they differ from mine. Put it down in the comments. And don't just say, like, I like it, I don't like it. Tell me why. What am I missing? What are you on board with what I'm saying? Let's talk about that stuff. Do me a quick favor, though. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. That is your best way, I was going to say quickest way, but yes, quickest and best way to repay me. If you like this video or any video I've ever done, at the moment when I'm recording this, I don't make any sort of money or anything doing this, so I need a little bit of motivation. You know, it's a creative outlet for me, but at the same time, I am putting the content out there for people. So if you can let me know that you're enjoying it by subscribing, that'd be great. Also hit the notification bell button and you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm doing 4 a week at this point. So I think that's a good amount. Anyway, thank you very much regardless for taking your time to watch this video. I appreciate that very much. And until next time, keep it brutal.